We're at the National Speedway Stadium for tonight's first leg of the grand final. It's always a very special time of the year, and the gods have been kind to us. The weather gods have been kind to us because it's dry, it's a little chilly, but we don't mind that. I've made my way to the inside of the first corner, and I've got the dirtometer as always, and I must say it's actually quite firm here, and the dirtometer isn't really penetrating at all, and I have seen more grip there in previous visits. As we make our way across to the mid-track, plenty of moisture here, a little bit more grip here, so interesting to see if guys actually go for this part of the track. Often it's a little bit no man's land out there. What I would say is that right out wide here, by not too far from the air fence, the dirtometer is going in a reasonable amount, so there is more work and more grip out here. But the difference on the visits that we've been when we were here earlier in the year, it was actually wider out, and the home team have actually asked for that because they feel that that gives them more opportunities for overtaking if they don't quite make the starts and not quite sharp away from the tapes. Talking about the starts, I went up there a little earlier, and I must say there's plenty of grip right across the start line, and I'm pretty sure that that will be satisfactory to both teams. Both teams are in top form. The Panthers were super against the Wolves, and I must say they came through in flying colours there. Of course, against the Sheffield Tigers, the Aces came through in their semi-finals. A grand final, head-to-head, two teams in top form. We're going to be in for some special speedway.
Oh, Kelvin, you just raised the temperature here at Bellevue on what is a really lovely autumnal evening. OK, here's an important coin toss. Let's join the captains with Brando.
Thanks, Abby. Steve Worrell's going to toss the coin. Scott Nicholls going to call. Where you go, gents? Heads. Heads is called. And I can see from here with my bad eyes it's heads. Scott Nicholls,
not that bad.
Your choice tonight. What are you going to take, sir?
We'll go 1 and 3.
Any particular reason here?
No, just it's important to try and get off to a good start. You know it's going to be a tough meeting. Usually 1 and 3 is a favourable early on, so that's the theory we're going to go with, and hopefully it works out.
Is there a plan in mind for the Panthers tonight?
I think it's just keep it as close as we can. Ironically, we've done good here and they've done good at our place, so whatever happens is going to be tough. It's over 30 heats. Yeah, obviously come away with a win would be fantastic, but as close as we can get it.
All right, good luck to you tonight, sir. Steve's going to come in. 2 and 4 in choice in heat 15, Steve. That could be important in the first half of the final.
Yeah, I think it's always nice to, it's nice to get off to a good start, but I think having that choice in heat 15, if it comes down to it, it'd be nice to have that. So.
And you and your team recently have all found some form, which is a great time for that to hit.
Perfect timing, really. You know, halfway through the season, we was all a bit kind of got lost, but no, towards this end now, we've picked up a lot of momentum. You know, a lot of us have found speed that we've been lacking all year, and obviously business end now. So yeah, nice to have it.
All right, not long to race time. Good luck to you in the Aces tonight.
Thank you, Steve. So the guys are almost ready to take to the stage in front of their fans. Calvin, let's look more closely then. Who are the men to watch? Let's start with the Panthers.
Yeah, terrific season. Dad's Armies, if they've been nicknamed, they've done tremendously well. I've gone for Chris Harris this evening for a man to keep your eyes on. It's been in sparkling form of late. Doesn't always hit the heights here at the National Speedway Stadium. He is a little hit and miss, but if he's a hit tonight, I suggest that the Panthers will put plenty of pressure on the home team. You can look at several riders here, but Harris in particular, since winning the British Grass Track Championship, has been flying high.
And the stat that I got on social media is so impressive. This is his 10th grand final, going for his 5th title. Yeah,
he's a man for the occasion, isn't he? So he's very accustomed to these types of environment, and he often delivers. So I'm expecting big things from him. And then the Aces, Calvin. Yeah, you know, they've done well. Particularly recently, we've pointed out that they found form at a crucial time. Richard Worrell has had a period of time on the sidelines with injury, but he's come back into the team very recently and has gone well. He needs to go well again tonight, as does his brother, and those two riders in particular are really key to the way the engine room of the Aces works. But Richard Worrell coming back into the team gives them a nice balance as well. Absolutely. Well, both sides are really well balanced, and there's a great atmosphere. The fans have come out to support both of these two teams. As Calvin rightly said, it's just the first leg tonight. It'll be halfway point by the end of this. But here they are. They're getting the round of applause that they deserve. It is an electric evening, isn't it, Calvin? It's a wonderful time. You know, fans on the already are very excited. Huge crowd. It's a sellout tonight, so you know, the playoffs really work. They always deliver a fabulous atmosphere. And, of course, we've got sensational track and perfect weather conditions. So we've got all the ingredients.
Calvin, thank you. We'll be hearing you in
You're
commentary, and we'll be joining us back in the studio at the end of this meeting. We are going to take a short break. When we come back, this man, Chris Louis, will be joining us. He's a two-time British champion, former under-21 world champion, and now director of the BF. So they dreamt of meeting each other in the final. They are going to be key decision makers tonight. Let's hear of the hopes and expectations of the two managers talking with Steve Brandon.
Mark, 2021 Grand Final, mood in the camp ahead of the first leg?
Looking forward to it. You know, you work all year for this moment, and it's here now. We've got to relish it and embrace it, but we're feeling pretty confident, not overconfident, of course, because we know what Peterborough are like. They're strong and they're worthy finalists.
You had a little bit of the wood over them in the regular season, particularly at the East of England Arena. Does that count for much coming into the final?
Not really. I mean, when you've seen the season this year, how it's panned out, you know, teams have been winning away, you know, quite frequently. You know, they've won here and they've drawn here, and we've won away there twice. So I guess we probably have the edge in when you look at that on stats. But I think the stats mean nothing right now. I think anyone that gets a home win is probably looking at being the sort of favourites.
Rob, the mood in the Panthers camp before the first leg of the Grand Final?
Pretty good, calm, same mindset as all season, really, to be honest. The boys are ready for it, looking forward to it. I'm sure it'll be a great final.
Bellevue have proved to be interesting and difficult opponents at times during the regular season. Does that count for much going into the final?
Possibly, but I think when you get into a final, as we all know, anything can happen, can't it? So, you know, I'd like to think that, you know, third time lucky at home, we'll be able to turn them over and get a win. But obviously we've got the first leg that's as important as that. So it's 30 heats at the end of the day, and but we're looking forward to it, and the boys are confident, so that's all we can ask of them.
What can we ask for, Chris Louis? Thank you for joining us here. How do you think this is going to go tonight?
You know, the dynamics of these two teams are so different, and it is so difficult to predict. It really is. What we can expect is two great racetracks tonight and at Peterborough on Thursday. They'll both be well prepared. They'll both be fair for both teams, and I think Mark Lemon summed it up. The team that can win at home is possibly going to be the winner of this grand final, because both managers are so aware that their opposition are good on their own tracks.
Yeah.
So it's a real intrigue to see how this one pans out.
And like you say, both are high-speed tracks. You've got guys with so much experience in the Peterborough Panthers side, but you've got some stars in the Bellevue Aces as well. It's lining up to be a great contest.
It is, and a difficult one to call. You know, I don't think, you know, when you were talking to Kelvin, you said we won't know who's going to win this after tonight. I understood what you meant. We won't. Even if Peterborough can come away with a big win, you just won't know what's going to happen on Thursday.
Can you call it, Chris?
I'm going to call it. I'm going to say Bellevue are going to edge it, but that might be risky.
Oh, I think that's different to what Calvin thinks. Let's join your commentating team then of Kelvin Tate and the first Nigel Pearson.
Abby, thank you very much indeed. Yes, good evening, and what an atmosphere here in Manchester at the National Speedway Stadium. One or two last-minute adjustments for Dan Bewley, the Bellevue #1, who has had a quite sensational season in Aces colours. As we build up to the first race of the night, we've got the onboard tonight once again. Stevie Lawson is the man who is attending to Richie Worrell in the blue helmet colour here, and that's actually Richie Worrell's last-minute adjustments. Steve Lawson attending to Dan Bewley, of course. As we build up to the first race of the evening here in this grand final. The atmosphere, Kelvin, absolutely rocking here in Manchester.
Yeah, terrific atmosphere. You pretty much expect that for the grand final, but the Aces are dead keen to get off to a flying start, that's for sure. They haven't won the coin toss. There's no Scotty Nichols won the coin toss, but Mark Lemon will be desperate. Hasn't quite managed to get over the line and win a grand final. Can this year, 2021, be the year for the Aces?
Here we go with the first race of the night. Louis Kerr going off the inside. He's a guest rider for Peterborough this evening. Going off gate number 2 in blue is Richie Worrell for Bellevue. Then it's Michael Parntoft, only declared fit yesterday afternoon with that hand injury. And off the outside is Dan Bewley, the man we've just been talking about for Bellevue. 3 points for a win, 2 for second, 1 for third, nothing for finishing last in Speedway. And this, the first of 30 races to decide the 2021 Premiership Speedway champions. Here we go. It's a great start from the Bellevue boys. Richie Worrell in Blair and Dan Bewley breezes around the outside. Louis Kerr made a good start. Michael Palmtoft having a go here. We can't see him there. Now he's coming around the outside. Palmtoft trying to really have a go, but Bellevue have ignited the crowd in the main stand. They are absolutely flying here in the first race of the night, Kel.
Brilliant stuff from Dan Bewley in the first corner, not completely unexpected. He's so fast around this particular track. Super out in front, Richie Worrell back from injury. Terrific to see him back in the team. Although Michael Palmtoft put him under pressure on that opening lap, he's still there. Richie Worrell will have to have his wits about him. But in this opening 3 laps, I've got to say that the home team are dominating.
Yeah, great start. Still Michael Palmtoft gaining ground late on in this race now. Can he have one last swoop to try and get the better of Richie Worrell? It's looking good for a perfect start for the Bellevue races. Home stand erupts. The fans are jubilant. It's 1 of 30. 29 races to go. But my goodness, what a perfect start for the Bellevue races, with Dan Bewley and Richie Worrell, who was threatened early on by Michael Palmtoft. But the Aces have got off to a dream start right there in Heat 1, Kel.
Yes, they have, and they are clearly delighted. And the crowd are on their feet, almost like they've won the whole championship. So you can just sense the atmosphere. And the way that we talked about expectation, and these fans certainly expect their team to do well, and they've got off to the very perfect start. Super stuff from the outside from Bewley in particular.
Yeah, Bewley breezed around the outside superbly. Richie Worrell second, Michael Palmtoft was third, and Louis Kerr at the back. Kerr didn't make a bad start, but he was just passed by the Aces. You see what I mean there? Kerr off the inside was with them, but then this happened.
Yeah, Richie Worrell just got a better run to the first corner and clamped it down, and from that moment on, the Bellevue Aces were in complete control, particularly Bewley. But I say Michael Palmtoft showed plenty of speed and actually had put Richie Worrell under quite a lot of pressure early doors, and he was there or thereabouts throughout the 4 laps. But Worrell riding a clever line. This was the moment when I thought maybe, just maybe, Palmtoft was going to get round the outside of Worrell, but it wasn't to be. And the Bellevue Aces with that man leading out from the front and looking good. The big 5 points in the bag, and that was an emphatic opening race for the Bellevue Aces. They'll be pleased as punch with that.
Yeah, Dan Bewley has been absolutely spectacular for Bellevue so far this season. Has been carving up meetings here, maximum after maximum.
And you've got to hope that he sticks around, because he could become a real Bellevue legend. Dan Bewley is a young man, loves riding at this track. And you could see him riding here for the next decade and really cementing himself in the history books for the Bellevue Aces.
And already, Kel, a big race coming up in heat number 2 for Bjarne Pedersen. And Jordan Palin, by the way, the Peterborough rising star in yellow, knows this track very well because of the fact that he used to ride for their Colts team in the National League. Jordan Palin, so he knows this track well. Let's see how he can get on. But Tom Brennan has been magnificent for Bellevue.
Brennan's done well, and got to say that having learnt his trade down in Eastbourne, which is a tight technical track, coming to the National Speedway Stadium, it's a big change, and he seems to have settled in very well. He's just been announced today as he will be the under-21 rider for the Speedway of Nations this weekend. He'll be looking forward to that. But right now, he's up at tapes in heat number 2 in the grand final.
Here's your lineup then. Tom Brennan going off the inside gate in red. Then it's Bjarne Pedersen, former Grand Prix winner. Gate 2 white, big night for him. Jai Etheridge goes off gate 3 in blue for Bellevue. And Jordan Palin going off the outside in yellow, the talented teenager. Big race coming up, even though it's only heat 2 of 30 over the 2 legs of the grand final. That 5-1 for Bellevue, Kelv, already has put pressure on Peterborough.
It has, and Bjarne Pedersen, who touched the tapes in his opening ride on Thursday, which was incredible for an experienced campaigner. It really did shock us. He then bounced back beautifully, didn't he? Then he was actually their star man, arguably, on Thursday night. But right now, the experience of Bjarne Pedersen really does need to come to the fore. Needs to get away sharpish out of gate number 2. Can the youngster on the outside, Palin, join him? But you've got to say Brennan on the inside is certainly growing in confidence here.
Here we go, green lights on. Away from the start first time of asking. And Bjarne Pedersen has got there. That's a real good start from the day. But working hard around the outside, Jai Etheridge in blue. Coming through into third is Jordan Palin of Peterborough. Now he's coming through into second. Look at this, what a ride from Jordan Palin. I did say he knows this track very well from his Bellevue Colts days. And Peterborough are bouncing back in some style here.
Fabulous way to bounce back. Bjarne Pedersen initially out of gate number 2, fired himself to the front. Here we go again. Etheridge coming on hard in third place. Got to say, Palin rode beautifully in that opening lap to get himself into second place. For the Panthers to bounce back with potentially a 5-1 on the cards in heat number 2 to level it up. But keep your eyes on the action, people, because the man in third place is pushing hard. Not a lot of racing room there.
Bjarne Pedersen is looking over his left shoulder. Bjarne Pedersen is going to try and shepherd Jordan Palin home, but I don't think he needs shepherding.
No,
Palin has done a fantastic job. Peterborough have bounced back straight away with a wonderful 5-1 in heat number 2. Bjarne Pedersen did the job from the gate, but I did make the point pre-race. Palin has done a lot of laps around this National Speedway Stadium track for one so young, and they've just bounced back with a 5-1.
What a race from the Panthers. They would have been a little shell-shocked after heat number 1. And I've got to say the experience of Pedersen there certainly proved to be very valuable indeed in heat number 2. Got to say Palin was superb on the opening lap, coming from the back, coming through to second place. That was the move that really was crucial. We're seeing the end of the race here, I believe. A nice 5-1, but that move from Palin down the back straight into second place on the opening part of the race really was significant.
That was the move.
Yeah.
Palin passing the Bellevue riders. That was the key move in that race. That was stunning from Jordan Palin, who gets second place there and a paid win. Bjarne Pedersen, the race winner. It's a 5-1 to Peterborough. It's level at 6 apiece, and Palin looks out of it here.
Yeah, he's high and wide on that first corner. Pedersen's hit the front. Got to say, Etheridge is there right alongside him, but here comes Palin round the outside of Brennan, sticks it to the inside, and it opens up really nicely for the youngster. And he's actually got his nose in front. He's gone from last to first.
The cheek of it.
By the end of it, exactly, the cheek of it. Pedersen saying, hang on, mate. Wait for me. And he was having to hang on to him around that first and second corner on the second time of asking. First turn again. Bjarne Pedersen makes a lovely start. Look at where Palin comes from. He gets a dream run out of that first turn. And lovely swap to the inside. It just opens up lovely. And then from that moment on, they are in charge. Got to say, Brennan pushes hard in third place, desperately trying to get amongst the big points and split the Panthers. But already this is an indication, I should suggest, of what this grand final is going to be all about. There's going to be very little in it at all. Rob Lyon, delighted with the way the boys have ridden there.
Well, that just shows what this track's all about as well. Because even though you may look as though you're in a lost cause in the early part of the race, one move like that from Palin, and you bounce back straight away.
Well, it's box office here, isn't it?
Yeah,
Every time we come, it always delivers. And we've only seen 2 races. That's 2 minutes of action, people, and it's been red hot so far. But there's a long, long way to go. But if the first 2 races are anything to go by, we are going to be in for some treat here tonight. Hans Andersen on screen there has had a great run in the side, particularly at reserve. He's in the main body of the team now, so needs to keep that going. Scotty Nicholls, the captain. Now, Nige, he's a rider that is vastly experienced. He was a rider with Bellevue when they transferred over here, but in my opinion, has never really seemed that comfortable here. He can score the points, but he also has had some poor results here as well.
He agrees with you. It's by his own admission. He's not done brilliantly here. He was in the grand final the last time Bellevue were in the grand final. That was in 2016. He was in the Bellevue side against Wolverhampton when they lost out to the Wolverhampton side here.
And he'll be hoping tonight, Nige, he can put that wrong right, won't he? Because he is desperate, as they all are, to try and pick up that trophy on Thursday evening. Big Heat 3 coming up.
Scott was good at the old place next door that sadly is no longer around.
It was a very different track, wasn't it?
Yeah, very small track,
It was a tight track, but here tonight, captaining the Panthers, he'll be looking to get off to a fast start here in heat number 3.
Here we go then, Hans Andersen going off the inside in white. He had a spell next door at Kirkmanshue Lane Greyhound Stadium, a former home of the Aces as well. Charles Wright going off gate 2 in blue. Stockport's Charles Wright finally gets to ride for his local club this year. Scott Nicholls gate 3 in yellow, the skipper of Peterborough. And the skipper of the Aces is Steve Worrell off gate 4.
I'm just going to say something very quickly. As the last rider came up there, Charles Wright, the home fans were applauding the rider as he came to the tapes. I think that is fantastic. This shows you how behind this Aces team the home crowd are. Here we go.
Yep, here we go with heat number 3 then. It starts from Hans Anderson off the inside, charging around the outside. It's Steve Worrell, the man in the red helmet, kind of the skipper of the Aces side, and charging through into third here. Scott Nicholls, that was in a cheeky little run up the inside. At the back is Charles Wright. It's a 3-all. Hans Anderson.
Oh, no! Big crash for Hans Anderson.
Oh,
he
dear.
just lifted at the wrong moment, and Nicholls had nowhere to go, and his own teammate ran in the side of him.
Oh dear.
And Hans Anderson has bit the dust hard there at very high speed.
Very, very fast crash that. Anderson down in that first turn. Red stoppage lights on. That is just an unfortunate incident.
Oh, such a shame. Nicholls is going to be gutted. His heart would have sank there. You know, Hans Anderson was pushing hard with Worrell. He just lifted there and lost momentum, and Nicholls was coming and just couldn't avoid him. And you've got to, well, you just got to keep your fingers crossed, because Hans Anderson came down heavily there. High speed, very high speed at the end of the first lap. You really are motoring around this big fast track.
Yeah, Scott
just look at the
gutted.
crowd reaction. They know that this is quite a significant moment.
Well, I'm seeing Scott walking away here. You can tell he's absolutely gutted about what's happened there. And the significant factor here is he could well get excluded, and Hans may not be fit to take his place in the rerun.
Well, I think you've just nailed that. I think there's no real excuse for the Cristerno. The referee will probably have to exclude Scott Nicholls. He was the one that ran in the side of Hans Anderson. No manners. Of course, he's your teammate. He's going to be feeling really awful right now.
Yes, and we hope that Hans is going to be up and about very shortly. Had to get off the bike pretty quickly as well, because that fence was fast approaching.
Just wonder how he fell. He looked really awkward.
Yes.
And it's rare that that happens at that moment. It was just as they went over the start and finish line that he lifted. And that was an awkward moment for him, with Worrell sort of coming back across him. And as a consequence, Nicholls then, it all sort of concertinaed up, and they all ran out of room. But no, our thoughts are with Hans Anderson, because it was a very heavy fall.
Fingers crossed Hans is going to be okay. It's just one of those unfortunate incidents that can happen in this dangerous sport of motorcycle speedway. And we keep our fingers crossed that Hans Anderson will be up and about, or at least not too badly hurt from that incident just a few moments ago. Both sets of riders concerned. Even though you're an opposing rider, you still have concern for one of your fellow riders. So, well, back here in Manchester, good news that Hans Anderson is walking away from that crash. It was an awful looking incident at real high speed as well.
Yeah.
But there will be concern now as to whether Hans Anderson can continue in the meeting. He looks
stunned, a
little bit shaken,
yeah,
from that, which is understandable. And this is what happened. Hans goes
just
on one wheel.
lifted there, didn't he? He was coming back. When you see that, he lifts at a vital moment, and that really creates a problem for Scotty Nicholls, who's coming charging up the inside. There's nothing Nicholls could do. He actually inadvertently takes down his own teammate. There's the moment when Hans Anderson lifts, and as a consequence, coming back across the track. And it's not going to be an easy decision for the referee to take.
No, it's not as easy as I thought it might be.
I thought it was going to be clear-cut with Nicholls being taken out of the race, but there's no doubt that Nicholls runs into his teammate. But is that the white helmet colour?
Hans Anderson is excluded. So Hans Anderson out of the race. 3 riders only. Scott Nicholls, the only rider for Peterborough. Wasn't as clear-cut as I first thought, because I'll be honest with you, I hadn't realised how violently Hans had lifted.
Well, I could see him lifting, but when we see that different angle, where how he's coming back across the track and he's coming back across his teammate, then you can kind of understand it. It could have gone the other way. The referee could have, read it that Scott Nicholls had run into his own teammate, but really and truthfully, he had no option. He had nowhere to go, so you can understand it. Nonetheless, it's never great when you run into your own teammate and he goes down, I can assure you that. That's not the ideal way to start the grand final. And now Scott Nichols has got to come out and do the business here, because he's up against two hard chargers. And that man, Steve Worrell, who was leading the race and it was looking good. And Charles Wright, of course, the former British champion, who joins Worrell as the pairing. So this is an opportunity once again for the Bellevue Aces to gain a heat advantage. Can Scott Nichols, after the shock of what's just happened, I mean, it really would have been a shock because it's at such high speed, it would have been frightening for anybody, even experienced riders like Hans and Scott Nichols. I mean, I tell you, their hearts would have been in their mouths when that was happening.
Absolutely.
No brakes on a Speedway bike, no way out of it. You can't just suddenly slow down.
Well, let's hope that we see Hans again later in the meeting. We'll see. The rerun of heat number 3 then. No Hans Andersen off the inside. Then it's Charles Wright going off gate number 2 in blue. Scott Nichols gate 3 in yellow, and Steve Worrell off the outside in red. Chris Durno was the referee who made the call. Had to look at it again. Wanted to see more angles of that incident. So not an easy call for the referee to make. But either way, it means that Peterborough are only down to one rider now in heat number 3.
Yeah, not an easy call to make. You're right about one rider, the captain of the Panthers here, Nichols. Can he now get his nose in front and keep it down to a drawn heat? That would be the ideal result, of course, for the visitors. For the home team, an opportunity here.
Bellevue made a beauty, and now pressure on Scott Nichols to try and make that move. He tried the inside run that time. Doesn't work on this occasion. He's going to try the outside now. Pressure on Scott Nichols for Peterborough. He's the only rider that the Panthers have got in this race. But it's Steve Worrell in red, Charles Wright in blue, and Bellevue are looking good. Nichols won't give up, that's for sure. But it looks like the 5-1s are going to continue, this time in favour of Bellevue, although here comes Nichols up the inside, having a real go now for Peterborough.
Yeah, brilliant effort from Nichols. You've got to say he's giving it absolutely everything. The aces were away, particularly Worrell out of gate 4. Super effort from him. Got to say Wright is having to work very hard indeed, because you know Nichols is going to push right on to the checkers flag, but it looks like, as you rightly say, Nigel, it's going to be the third 5-1 of the evening in 3 consecutive races. Worrell and Wright pushing on down the back straight for the last time. Here we go.
Yep, it's a 5-1 to Bellevue. Stevie Worrell and Charles Wright over Scott Nichols. And that puts Bellevue 4 points ahead again. The Manchester Mexicans on the back straight in their Mexican hats. Oh, they are pleased. They were in good form against Sheffield on Thursday night, I'm told, on the back straight. Super atmosphere.
Fantastic.
And Bellevue delighted with that. And they'll make some noise in this main stand on the home straight for Steve Worrell and for Charles Wright here at the National Speedway Stadium in Manchester. So far, so good for the home side with that 5-1, and confirm the result. Steve Worrell and Charles Wright over Scott Nichols and Hans Andersen excluded from that race. It's a 5-1 to Bellevue, who lead now by 11 points to 7 in this grand final first leg.
Yeah, we see it again, and it's all about the start, wasn't it? With Worrell coming charging across from gate number 4, and he dominates the first turn. A good effort from Charles Wright this time, and he covers that move than the original stagings of the race that Scotty Nichols, as you described, as a cheeky little move up the inside, Nige, and he wasn't quite able to put it off twice because Charles Wright had that all covered. He did get close though, the captain of the Panthers, Nichols. He got very close there, but then just has to roll out of the throttle because Charles Wright comes across him and kills his momentum. A big 5-1 out in front, and you've got to say that Worrell and Wright then get their noses back in front, and Steve Worrell, after a really disappointing stretch in the season, has hit top form in recent weeks. Good ride from him.
Yep, that'll do for Bellevue, and I can tell you that Stevie Worrell is out again in the next race. He will replace Brady Kurtz in the red helmet colour under the rider replacement facility. Yeah, Kurtz, who crashed in the Czech golden helmet.
Yeah, that's right, and that's a shame for Brady Kurtz at a crucial moment. Worrell will go from gate number 4 again, where he's just won heat number 3, so he'll have 4 members are going from there. He's up against Harris and Palin. Palin looked good in heat 2, looked really good in heat 2. Harris, this will be the first time we will see the bomber Harris coming out in heat number 4.
Look at Rob Lyon studying his programme. He really is so studious and switches his reserve, switches his riders at the perfect time. He's very clever with this programme, Mark
Indeed
Lemon.
he is. You know, Rob Lyon is an understated guy. He's got to say that he's come back into the sport after some time away, and he's done a marvellous job with the Panthers this year.
Let's hear from the Bellevue manager, Mark Lemon, with Steve Brand.
Thanks, Nigel. 2 5-1s to you, 1 to them, but an unsettling start to the meeting with a crash in Heat 3.
It's not ideal. I mean, you never like to see crashes, and I'm not sure what the situation with Hands, but that looked pretty nasty. So hopefully there's no more of that.
For you now, you're going to use Steve Worrell as your first rider replacement tonight. He went off gate 4. Was that you waited to see how he went in that last one?
Yeah, gate position's obviously pretty critical, around this place, and you've got to, put the right guys that, can make a start. Steve's gating this last month or so has been outstanding, so it's a tough ask coming off of gate 4, but he can do it.
We always talk about this. It's such a great racetrack here, but it's a racetrack that other teams love coming to as well.
That's very true. So we've got to really be on our mettle, to up the ante. Like I said, it's an enjoyable racetrack. I even feel like going out there and having a ride, but that'd be a bad idea. But everyone loves it, so it makes it a bit of a leveler.
All right, Steve's time's nearly up, and we'll let you get back to it. Thank you.
Cheers, Steve.
Yeah, Worrell coming out again, as Mark Lemon was explaining there. Worrell has been making really good starts over the last month, and gate 4 can be difficult here. We've seen Bewley do it from there, and we've also seen Worrell do it in heat number 3 rather, from gate 4. So he's hoping that that magic will work again here in heat number 4 as he comes in to replace Brady Kurtz, a man that broke his leg just a few years ago when he was on the cusp of an international career, and that's kind of halted his progress. But when you see him riding like he has been recently, then you can understand why he was looking to make a breakthrough into the international scene. He's a level-headed guy. He speaks well. He leads this team. He's a proud guy. Comes from this area, so he'll be looking to put his best foot forward. And he started in fine style, Nige.
Yeah, he's from St Helens originally. Big rugby league town, of course. Had a bit of success over the weekend. But now based over in Cleethorpes, Stevie Worrell, and certainly enjoying his Speedway, that's for sure. Twin brother Richie alongside him there. Both started out similar time. I do believe that they were into motocross.
They were good motocross riders,
yeah.
And they decided to change course and become Speedway riders, and they've done pretty well, actually. But I know they were a loss to the motocross scene and a gain for Speedway, so they've been in and around the sport now for over a decade. And good stalwart riders in the British scene. So Worrell now, Stevie Worrell now ready to come out. But this man, he was my man to watch for the Peterborough Panthers. And Nigel, if he can produce the sort of form we've seen recently from him, then the Panthers will have a decent chance of winning here tonight.
He's got plenty of experience of grand finals. Chris Harris, down the years, we've seen him the man for the big occasion, not to mention that Grand Prix at Cardiff in 2007, which was one of the highlights of the FIM Speedway Grand Prix. There's World Championship action here this weekend with Great Britain in the Speedway of Nations, and confirmation today that Ty Wapner and Robert Lambert will be the side. But as you mentioned earlier, Kel, the under-21 reserve rider will be Bellevue's Tom Brennan. So we wish Great Britain well,
yeah, we
Saturday
do.
and Sunday.
I think they've got a very good chance. They'll come in as one of the favourites, that's for sure. But an exciting weekend in prospect. An exciting evening in prospect here. We're underway, of course, and it's been flip-flop with 5-1s. We've had 3 5-1s already.
Here we go with heat number 4 then. Jordan Palin, a fantastic ride in his opener. He's off the inside in yellow. Then it's Jai Etheridge for Bellevue going off gate 2 in the blue helmet colour. Chris Harris goes off gate 3 in white, has had a quite spectacular season. And off the outside in red is Stevie Worrell, the Bellevue skipper, in for Brady Kurtz here. And Brady Kurtz watching on, took that knock in the Czech golden helmet a week or so ago.
Yeah, and he'll be gutted about that. This crucial
moment. He'll be fit for Thursday, by the way.
Are they really? Oh, okay. Well, that's great news if he can come in then and produce. Of course, you know, when your team's in the grand final, you want to be part of it. You don't want to be a spectator, that's for sure.
Yeah, they should know on Wednesday whether Brady can make it.
Okay, well, that's encouraging news.
Let's see. Here we go. Heat number 4. 7-7. Oh, Boomer's going to start, and the red lights are on. No surprise there.
Worrell.
That was a very, very scrappy start, and no wonder Chris Durno put the red lights on straight
Worrell
away.
moved. He'll get a warning. I wasn't looking at the inside. I was looking at Worrell, and Worrell jumped and then went and gained an advantage. Chris Harris
I think Harris was having a little dabble as well. Yeah,
well, they both were.
Mainly Steve Worrell, I would suggest. Yeah.
And because he got away quite well. Anybody on the inside moving? No, it was the boys on the outside. So I can believe that Worrell will be the one that gets the warning for that.
Jordan Palin made a beauty there, Kel. He'll be gutted about that.
Well, I'll tell you what, Steve Worrell made an even better one, didn't he?
It was unsatisfactory, though, to coin the exact phrase.
Yes, unsatisfactory start. All
Yes.
four back. A warning to Worrell, so he can't misbehave anymore tonight because that warning will stay with him throughout the evening. And so he'll have to be a bit more disciplined on the start line. Not easy on a big night like this, nerves jangling, and very keen. He knows how fast Harris will be. If Harris gets his nose in front, he will be a difficult man to overtake. We've got the 2-minute siren just blasting away in the background, so it won't be too much longer before riders are on their way to the start. In actual fact, it looks a lot less than 2 minutes. It looks like less than a minute, so I'm not quite sure about that, but
yes.
you know, I think once again it just shows you the stature of this event. This man, of course, we saw. I remember at Paul when he was riding for Coventry and he got ridden over in the first corner. Can you remember that night?
Yeah, 2010.
2010. Well, yeah, 11 years ago, incredibly. And he got ridden over, and I think the paramedic came over and he said, "Are you all right?" And he jumped to his feet and sprinted off.
Back to the pit.
And then 2 minutes went on, and he came out and won the rerun. Won the rerun. I mean, a man of steel is Bomber Harris, that's for sure.
Yeah, brilliant. He's given us so much entertainment down the years, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has.
Chris Harris is brilliant, and there's plenty of time for him to continue doing that as well. He has been superb. Right, heat number 4 restart. Jordan Palin off the inside, Jai Etheridge off gate 2, Chris Harris gate 3 white, Stevie Worrell going off the outside in red. We've only had 3 races. If you have just joined us, 1 or 2 incidents, a crash and unsatisfactory starts. But you can be sure it'll be very, very tense. Down there on the start line. And that's why heat number 4 has been called back. Bit of gardening going on here as well.
Yeah, Worrell just stamping on the track there, trying to just pack the dirt down to get the best possible drive away from the outside gate. He's actually very close to gate number 3, but when you're at home and you have a friendly starting marshal, it might well be that he gets away with that. We will see when Worrell comes up. He's very close to gate number 3, not a lot of room between them. In actual fact, Harris has moved over. Here we go, second time of asking.
Number 4 underway this time. Great start from Worrell off the outside. Jordan Palin is there in yellow right now, the teenager for Peterborough. But there goes Worrell around the outside. Now here comes Harris in white. Chris Harris taking on Jai Etheridge. He's gone high and wide into the banking, in the dirt, in the dry, down the home straight. He's come past Jai Etheridge. It's a 3-all as it stands. Etheridge will now try and hunt down Palin. Harris has got to do a bit of team riding to protect Jordan Palin here. Forget about Steve Worrell. He's gone. He's got the race under control. All about whether Peterborough can stop the challenge of Jai Etheridge.
Harris just looking for his teammate. He lifted at the moment and actually nearly ran into him. But Palin is doing a great job here. Terrific in heat number 2. Coming out here in heat 4 is doing a good job. They're under pressure. Etheridge is lurking in 4th place. Worrell is clear, you're right. He's got the win. Etheridge coming up the inside. Palin responds. What a bit of Speedway action there, back straight.
Well, this is for a point. Harris looks all over his shoulder. It's a win for Worrell. Harris second, Palin third. Wonderful effort from Jai Etheridge, but equal credit to Jordan Palin for blocking the opportunity and preserving a point which could prove the difference at the end of the day.
It could very well, and I don't think that the team riding was really going down very well there. They're almost falling over one another, and you've got to have some sympathy for Palin because he was kind of left hung wide there with Harris with a little bit more speed than him. Worrell superb. Wins heat 3 and 4, 6 points out of 6 for him. Captain's role being played beautifully by Stevie Worrell, but fair play to Chris Harris and Palin for hanging on.
Jordan Palin riding brilliantly. Stevie Worrell, by the way, is in red in heat 5 as well, so he's got 3 on the trot.
Wow.
Good job we got a break before then. Chris Harris second, Jordan Palin third, 3 apiece, and it's 14 points to 10 to Bellevue. Great
Tapes up in heat number 4. It was great Speedway night. Good start from Palin. He's made an absolutely superb start from the inside. Can't resist that move from Worrell, though. Worrell slingshots out of turn 2. Fires himself to the front. Tapes up again. Look at the youngster getting out. Fabulous start from Palin, and he's ridden out of his skin in his first 2 rides here this evening. That's so refreshing to see. Harris made a poor start from gate number 3 and works his way into second place on the inside, but they don't really quite click here for a moment or two, because Jai Etheridge was because Harris is slowing the race down to try and look after Palin. It's keeping Etheridge very interested indeed. Look at this with Etheridge charging up the inside of Jordan Palin.
Right,
and Palin, yeah, he's trying to kick him. Oi, mate, get out of the way. But look at Palin, look at that. That's really determined stuff from him to hang on to 3rd place.
Welcome back to our coverage of the British Speedway Premiership Grand Final. After 4 heats, it is the home side that has a 4-point advantage. And 4 heats, it's been drama-filled so far. Chris Louis joins us. And Chris, where we're stood is right by Hans Andersen's bike. He hasn't come back to the pits. It was a high-speed crash in Heat 3. How is it going to impact this side with the loss of Hans Andersen for the rest of this meeting?
It's big, you know, obviously coming so early on in the meeting as well, it's very big. They'll obviously use injury rider replacement for him, and you know, they've got good riders that can come in for him, but no, you know, it's one of those sort of pivotal moments in a 2-legged tie like this, and it's going to depend on when he can come back. Seeing it there, you know, I mean, Hans has just lifted, lost his momentum. Scott's coming through, he's got all the speed. There's absolutely nothing Scott can do about it. It was nice to see the referee take his time to look at that again, because it would have been easy to have excluded Scott, which would have been wrong. But, you know, on first glance of that incident, you could have done that. So he made the right decision, but yeah, tough on Peterborough for sure.
Yeah, injury rider replacement. And for those joining us for the first time, what does that mean? Who can take his rides?
The riders that have got an average lower than him can take his rides, as long as they don't have more than 7 rides. So, you know, they've got riders like Chris Harris, they've got riders like Bjarne Pedersen, Scott Nichols. So, you know, and for me, the rider for Peterborough so far has been young Jordan Palin, their rising star. He's been absolutely fantastic. You know, the way he's riding. Tough race last time with Chris Harris. Chris done a great first lap to sort of shepherd him round and get it settled down, and then the more he tried to help him, the kind of harder it got, but they got there in the end.
17 years old, what a future he's got ahead of him. Let's talk about their opposition, and Kelvin said it at the start, the engine room that is the Worrell brothers, particularly the captain. He's putting in a captain performance, isn't he, Stevie?
Yeah, as he did at Sheffield in the semi-final, for sure. I mean, he's riding fantastic well. He's really peaking at the right time. Coming off gate 4 like he does here, not easy in the early part of the meetings here at Bellevue. But 2 and 4 seems to have been working fantastically so far tonight. So, but Steve, you know, he's really playing a captain's role. He was given that role to try to bring him on. You know, I think Mark Lemon felt that the extra responsibility would do that. And so far, you know, throughout the season, he's got stronger and stronger and stronger.
And important to re-find his mojo at the right time, because he had a torrid summer around August. It was tough going for him.
Yeah, he did. You know, he was riding well for the Paul Pirates in the Championship, but really struggling for form in the Premiership of Bellevue. But, you know, they are, I think, as a team, particularly at home, they've got a little bit stronger. They really are finding their form at the right time.
Well, he's back out again. It's Heat 5, Kelvin and Nigel.
Thanks, Abby. Yes, building up to heat number 5. A busy night so far for Stevie Worrell then, for the Bellevue Aces. That winning heat number 4, a winning heat number 3, has ridden superbly so far.
He has, hasn't he? But he goes from the inside gate this time. That'll be interesting. And the pairing for the Panthers here got they got 5-1'd in heat number 1. So Palm Toft and Lewis Kerr looking for a better result this time.
Worrell's off the inside here in the red helmet colour then, and then off gate number 2 in yellow is Louis Kerr, who made a decent start in heat 1, but then was training going into that first turn. Bellevue was so dominant. Gate number 3 in blue is a former British champion, Charles Wright. He won that title on this track a couple of years ago. And Michael Palmtoft, he goes off the outside in the white helmet colour. Only declared fit yesterday with those nasty finger injuries. And that's really difficult when you've got your clutch hand damage.
He's done very well indeed. He's got a clutch protector on there. You'll look at it. He's got a hand guard on the handlebar to stop the stones actually sort of like just jangling those broken bones in that left hand, because they'll still be broken, those fingers. There's no way they've healed yet, but he's dealing with the discomfort really well. got Gate 4 here, so we've seen 3 heat wins from Gate 4 already in the first part of this meeting, in the first 4. So Palm Soft on the outside could be chance for him to win.
Here we go, Bellevue made a good start. Lewis Kerr splits them here, and now charging hard around the outside is Michael Palmtoft. The lead though here is Steve Worrell again. He's under pressure from Palmtoft in white. Charles Wright in blue is still very much on the money here. We've got a good race we've got to beat. And Charles Wright tries to go on the inside of Palmtoft, and now he's going to try and sweep past Louis Kerr as well.
What a move!
It's a 4-2 as it stands, but Charles Wright isn't quite done yet.
What a move from Charles Wright. It's coming up the inside. Here we go again. Charles Wright on the inside, charging through underneath Louis Kerr. Home crowd are on their feet. He's on the back wheel. Now Louis Kerr coming back. Worrell's away. I'll tell you what, Worrell is riding out of his skin tonight. Really quick in front. And what a ride from Charles Wright. He's come from last and he's charged through into second place.
Well, this is a sensational result for the Bellevue Aces in heat number 5. They are going to go 8 points ahead after only 5 races of this grand final.
Wow.
And a reminder in playoff Speedway, you cannot bring in a tactical substitute. The Mancunian Mexicans waving their hats on the back straight. What an atmosphere here in Manchester tonight. 5 races gone, and the Aces go 8 points clear. And what a ride from Charles Wright to pass Michael Palmtoft and Louis Kerr. Superb heat number 5.
It was superb, Nigel. You took the word literally out of my mouth as I was saying it. Stevie Worrell, once again, it doesn't matter where he starts from, whether it's the outside or the inside. Worrell was masterful out in front, and Charles Wright, he was Mr. Entertainment there.
And again, that Kerr and Palmtoft duo doesn't work. It's a 5-1 to Bellevue, who lead now by 19 points to 11.
Well, I tell you what, Stevie Worrell's got a lot of starts in his toolbox at the moment, hasn't he? He is making starts for fun. The inside gate working well for him, allows the bike to drift up the banking, and away he goes. Palmtoft is there with Louis Kerr. They're in a good position here as they complete the back straight on the opening lap. But watch Charles Wright now, people. He just winds it on, brave as a lion, charging on the inside of Palmtoft, forcing the Danish rider just to kill his momentum. And then he sets about Louis Kerr out in front, and here he comes. Louis Kerr looking good in second place, but he can do nothing about the determination of Charles Wright, clearly fired up to try and join his captain out in front, and he duly does, and they march on for another 5-1. And right now the Bellevue Aces are in charge, and with the 8-point lead after 5 races, it's a very impressive start.
Yeah, brilliant stuff from Steve Worrell. What a magnificent performance and a true captain's role tonight.
Well, 9 out of 9.
3 rides, 3 wins.
Yeah, 9 out of 9. On a big night like this is exactly what you want to do. You're at home, in front of your home crowd. It's the biggest meeting of the season domestically for you. And he has come up trumps so far, and there's work to be done. 3 on the spin, and he's won all 3 of them. Brilliant stuff from Worrell.
Well, let's hear from the Peterborough manager, Rob Lyon, now with Steve Brandon.
Thanks, Nigel. Robert, an update on Hans Anderson, a nasty-looking tumble in Heat 3.
Yeah, he's suffered a little bit of blow to the head on the side of the temple, so they've pulled him. So he's had to withdraw, unfortunately.
Big loss. It's obvious, but it's a big loss.
Yeah, big time. But we just had a little chat, and the boys are, got to collectively get together and get this thing done for him. So they'll still be fighting hard.
An injury rider replacement now comes into play, and that gives all the riders below Hans in the average a chance to have a ride. You'll have to plot your way carefully through that now as well.
Yeah.
How do you go about it? I saw you had a long chat with Bjarne about it. It's tough now. You've got to rely on these guys really to step up to the mark tonight.
Absolutely, yeah. And obviously, Bjarne's and Jordan, to be fair, the way he's riding, a key to it tonight. Too many rides on the trot can be other counter effects. The wrong way, obviously, so it's difficult, but we got to juggle and we got to get there.
We've seen the team of the most experienced turn it around well last week. Here's hoping it happens again tonight. Thank you.
Well, it is a tall order now, Nigel, and that is bad news for the Panthers. Such an integral part to their team this season. Has done sterling work down at reserve. Now, all of a sudden, Bjarne Pedersen, Scotty Nichols and Chris Harris and Jordan Palin will potentially get an extra ride, and they'll be desperately hoping that they can come up with the performances. Harris just a little out of sorts early doors, but he's going to have to come on strong now because the aces have really started strong here tonight, Nige.
Yep, Chris Harris on a new bike for heat number 6, second outing of the night, and without Hans Andersen as well. If it's a blow to the head and he's been withdrawn on that basis, it must leave serious question marks about whether he can ride in the second leg on Thursday night. Remains to be seen the exact wording of that. Chris Harris goes off the inside in white, Dan Bewley goes off gate number 2 in red, Bjarne Pedersen for Peterborough gate 3 yellow, and Richie Worrell going off the outside in blue. Richie Worrell got that 5-1 with Dan Bewley in heat number 1.
Yeah.
And Peterborough, with their experienced duo of Harris and Pedersen, really do need to come to the party here.
They do, and it's been a difficult start for the Panthers. Got to say, heat number 2 seems a long time ago when they got that 5-1. We've had all sorts of drama since then, but the Panthers have been on the receiving end. They've been on the rough end of the stick so far. And Harris and Pedersen bounce back for the Panthers now.
Bewley's made a beauty. Harris is there as well. Harris hits the front, but watch out for Bewley around the outside run. Here he comes down the back straight. Oh, what a move! Dan Bewley, and Harris is still there, but Bewley has got the lead. Richie Worrell in second now comes as well. Richie Worrell charging hard, goes wide. That allows Bjarne Pedersen the opportunity down the back straight.
Harris!
Bellevue on a 5. Harris!
Oh my goodness, what fabulous speed we were seeing. Now Worrell comes back into it. Harris is going to repay the compliment noise. He steams up the inside of Richie Worrell. Sensational Speedway here in the grand final.
3-all.
Beauty, no, it's, well, yes, it is at the moment, but for how much longer?
Oh, what a Speedway race this is. Dan Bewley with that lead. Second place in white, Chris Harris. Bjarne Pedersen third. Richie Worrell has been beaten up by Peterborough there in heat number 6 and is trailing into the back. But what a race that was. And Dan Bewley makes it 2 wins out of 2 for the British superstar and the Bellevue Aces. But still, that maintains a handy 8-point cushion for the home side Bellevue. But I'll tell you what, Chris Harris and Bjarne Pedersen will never ever work harder for a second and a third.
No, I agree with that. I'll tell you what, for 2 laps there was too much going on. I think it was difficult to keep up with it, wasn't it? Richie Worrell was superb, and unfortunately he just got out-battled. Dan Bewley, sensational. No real surprise there, because that's the norm for him. He is absolutely red-hot round the National Speedway Stadium. And the red-hot action that was going on behind between Harris, Pedersen and Worrell, well, that was worth the admission price on its own. Fantastic Speedway.
Brilliant. Bewley, Harris, Pedersen is a 3 apiece, and after 6 races, Bellevue lead by 22 points to 14. 8 points the gap, 6 races gone, but Peterborough have just shown that when they dig deep, the fighting spirit is there.
I'll tell you what, this was very deep. Very deep indeed, because Dan Bewley initially, super around the outside. Here comes Richie Worrell. We're seeing it at the start again. And Dan Bewley is in the red helmet colour, and he swoops around the outside and comfortably hits the front. And from that moment on, he really shows a clean pair of heels. This is the action. Look at Richie Worrell. Look how hard he's trying there. Swaps to the inside and charges into second place. But Harris, you know what Harris is like? He's giving it 110%. Bjarne Pedersen gets involved there. Now Harris, what's this? He's got a long straight that's dive bombs. Here I come. How on earth did he do that? Worrell in hits the front, but unfortunately for Richie Worrell, as hard as he's trying, the Panthers just had too many answers for him. And as you rightly say, Nigel, he got beaten up after 2 laps there. And it was just sensational action. It had everybody on the edge of their seats. I mean, you'd be happily to pay a lot of money to watch that sort of speed. But Dan Bewley out in front. He's won his 2 rides so far tonight. He's delighted. And once again, the Aces are still very much in charge.
I can tell you that Richie Worrell will go in red in the next race for Brady Kurtz. Dan Bewley, he really is the king of the National Speedway Stadium these days. And by the way, Jordan Palin will come in for Hans Andersen in white. He's ridden nicely tonight, Jordan.
He's done well, and I'm pleased to see that. The rising star group of riders was introduced this season, and he's one of them that seems to be moving in the right direction. And so far this evening, on the biggest night, he has ridden really nicely, and he's done a really good job for his side. So he'll be hoping that he can team up with Scotty Nicholls here and try and just limit the damage. 3-alls, actually, I suggest, are going to be what they will look for if they just can't quite get to the front. Possibly a little bit of damage limitation at this stage, with the aces having the upper hand, because they don't want to let him get out of sight. They don't want it all over by the time we get to heat 15 tonight. Of course things can change on Thursday, of course they can, but there's no doubt with the loss of Hans Andersen, the Panthers, possibly for the first time this year, are really under a lot of pressure. Great to see youngsters here. Really is encouraging to see the youngsters out tonight enjoying
Stevie
themselves.
Worrell's crew, I do believe.
Wow. Dare I say he's been busy?
Yes. Yeah, he'll be taking a few quid home with him tonight.
There you go.
Yeah, 3 rides, 3 wins, nicely done.
Lovely.
Yep, and the youngster Jordan Palin in white.
Well, it's great
teenager.
to see, isn't it? It's good to see him, and he's made a couple of good starts, and he's shown good pace. We've got Richie Worrell, who's going to be coming out in 2 consecutive rides here. He comes in as the rider replacement for Brady Kurtz. A bit of just a little bit of meditation there for Scotty Nicholls, just concentrating, just trying to. Possibly, he's had a long season, and he's not getting any younger. But just possibly visualising the race a little bit, desperate to try and get to the front. Massive moments now. Rider getting ready, putting his gloves on, just preparing himself. Last few moments before he's making his way out there. Just a chat with his brother.
On board here, and looking forward to heat number 7. Definitely advantage Bellevue, and now Hans Andersen is out as well. This is a great chance for Bellevue to win their first title since 1993.
Yes, it is. They will be trying to capitalise. Of course, nobody wants to see riders get hurt, and Mark Lemon did refer to that in his interview, the Bellevue team managers. You don't want to see that, but racing is dangerous at times, and we have seen. And the loss of Hans Andersen potentially could be a big blow, and possibly a hurdle that they can't overcome. So responsibility on the 2 lads from the Panthers now. They need to keep it at least at 3-alls if they possibly can.
Yep, pressure on, that's for sure. He'll be a happy man right now, Mark Lemon, the Bellevue manager and director of Speedway here at the National Speedway Stadium.
Long way to go, Nige.
Richie Worrell going off the inside in red then as the rider replacement for Brady Kurtz. Jordan Palin in for Hans Andersen. The gates are in white, and the injury rider replacement rule. Tom Brennan goes off gate 3 in blue for Bellevue, and Scott Nicholls going off the outside in the yellow helmet colour. Fans have been keeping busy filling their programmes in tonight. I hope they've stocked up on pens.
Mine's already looking quite messy, which is normally the case by the time I get to heat 15. I've kind of run out of discipline by then, but it's certainly challenging me so far this evening. But the people down in front of me, they're much better at it than I will ever be. But there's no question that this is a very important race in the context of the tide. Scotty Nicholls, can he come good now? He's got gate 4. Richie Worrell has just been beaten up in the previous race. Can he bounce back? And the youngster, Jordan Palin, coming out of gate 2. He will have a big role to play.
Here we go. Really good start from Palin. Nicholls is charging up the inside. What a move from Scott Nicholls. Look at this from the Peterborough Geo, charging through now. No room in red for Richie Worrell. Now it is going to be the old master and the pupil. It's Scott Nicholls in yellow, 7 times British champion. And it's the teenager Jordan Palin, who I did say before his first race tonight has done a lot of laps round here, Cal.
He is looking brilliant, isn't he? Superstar from Palin. Great move from Scott Nicholls. A class move into second place in that first turn, and they're dominating. This is a massive bonus for the Peterborough Panthers. They're fighting back. Dan's Army on the march out in front here, Nige. They're doing the business as this tie. If they can hang on for one more lap, really will be on. Nicholls looking after Palin. Palin hanging on around the outside. I fancy they've got it.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is going to be a huge boost for the Peterborough Panthers. What a move from Rob Wyatt to throw in Jordan Palin. And what a performance at reserve from the teenager. Stunning stuff from Jordan Palin, who is from Beverley. Scunthorpe will be proud of him. That's his local track. And what a performance from the former Bellevue Colts youngster in the National Development League, who is doing Peterborough proud tonight.
Nichols got it on the run to the line, but it doesn't matter, does it? Because they got the 5 points, and that's the important. Yeah. It's a 5-1 either way. It's gone round, and Jordan Palin just coming through in second place there. Awfully tight, but in truth, it doesn't really matter in the end. It's 5 points to Peterborough, and that was such an important moment in the context. Nichols coming good when he really needed to, and Palin, the rising star. Wow, terrific stuff from him so far this evening. Super.
Nichols, Palin, Brennan, 5-1. Peterborough close it again at 23-19. Previously, we've seen Rob Lyon trying to minimise Jordan Palin's rides because he's not been on the money. Here tonight, he's using him extra, and this is the reason why.
Because he can make starts, and once he's making starts, he's carrying lots of speed. And what a clever first corner it was from the former British champion Scott Nichols. We're on board here, but the move really is all about Nichols coming up the inside there. And Richie Worrell, as hard as he tried, there's no way through. He just runs into the side of Nichols, and he has to shut the throttle off. And as hard as he tries, unfortunately for Richie Worrell, he has ridden his heart out in the last 2 heats, and he's failed to score. Speedway can be so cruel at times, but out in front, the 5-1 for the Peterborough Panthers. Rob Lyon will be very buoyed by that, as will the team after the bitter blow, big blow to lose Hans Anderson. Smashing stuff. It's what the grand final's all about. Riders, as you said earlier, Nigel, digging deep.
Absolutely right. You said Dad's Army marching on there in heat number 7, but Jordan Palin was marching on. He's a youngster.
Yeah, sure.
He's the one youngster in the side, in this Peterborough side, that has worked so superbly. So Bellevue pegged back, and this grand final is a fascinating watch. On a warning, he's off gate 3 in red, and he's been brilliant so far tonight. 3 rides, 3 wins. And Bjarne Pedersen for the Peterborough Panthers, going off the outside in yellow. Heat number 9, grand final Speedway. Here we go. And the races have made a great start. They're at it again here. Steve Worrell, the man in red. At the inside goes Chris Harris. Pedersen still in the mix as well. Charles Wright with the lead. Second place in red is Steve Worrell. He's going to go around the outside. Still Pedersen in the mix. Trying the inside run. What can Harris done now?
Pedersen, nice.
Pedersen up the inside. Bjarne Pedersen, but watch out for Worrell on the inside run. He's come back for more.
Harris now charging around the outside as well, but he's got too far to go. Bjarne Pedersen's wide. Charles Wright as well. Fabulous Speedway with Steve Worrell and Charles Wright.
Watch out for Harris.
Harris is coming, Nige. He's coming.
Watch out for Harris.
Oh, my goodness. What a move from Chris Harris.
Chris Harris coming on strong, having a real go. We've got 1 lap to go. Harris will scrape the boards. He will almost kiss the air fence. Harris is throwing it as a measure of desperation. Here he comes into turn 3 and 4. Have the aces done enough?
No.
It's coming around the outside. Harris has split them. Harris has split them. Wow, that is unbelievable Speedway here at the National Speedway Stadium. It's a 4-2 to the Manchester side, but more heroics from that man, a truly remarkable Speedway rider, Chris Harris.
What a ride from Chris Harris. Never say die attitude pays off big style with 2 points. He was out the back, but look at this commitment, the bravery. He's got a heart the size of a lion, and he finally gets around the outside Charles Wright and just sneaks into second place with Stevie Worrell winning. Once again, breathtaking action, largely because of the efforts from Chris Harris. Bjarne Pedersen also in there. Steve Worrell, well, you know, he got overlooked there. He's had 4 rides, Nigel, and funnily enough, he's had 4 wins.
Yeah,
so he's
sorry,
having
Steve.
Sorry, Stevie, but Chris Harris was, well, there were a lot of fireworks going on behind you.
Well, what a Speedway race that was. Steve Worrell the winner, Chris Harris second, Charles Wright third. It's a 4-2 to Bellevue. Her now 8 points up again, and we have 6 races to go in this first leg tie tonight.
We have indeed, and the action has just been absolutely sensational. The Bellevue Aces are in charge. They're being made to work very hard for it, but you've got to say they're up to the challenge, that's for sure. Got to say at this very early stage, Bjarne Pedersen is in third. Harris then actually commits himself just totally commits himself to the outside. There's too much traffic going on. There's no way through on the inside, so he just says, well, if I can't go there, I've got to go here. And this is when he starts pushing to the outside. Pedersen momentarily got himself into second place, but didn't have the speed out of turn 2. And the Bellevue Aces were able to squeeze both sides. And look at you've got to say, Harris is just sensational. You can't take your eyes off of him. And as the race comes to its conclusion, there's this extra bit of effort to get him around the outside of Charles Wright and come into second place with Worrell winning the race. I don't think Steve Worrell was even aware that Chris Harris had managed to get himself into second place. Why would he? He had a good look there. Has a good look 2 or 3 times, and he just thinks, well, I'm just going to have to go there. He was looking for his partner out of the last corner, but that was just an irresistible move, wasn't it, from Chris Harris?
Well, I can tell you now that Chris Harris will be in a white helmet for Hans Andersen as the injury rider replacement in heat number 10. So Chris Harris going in the white helmet.
And they're going to need him here.
Yeah. But what a meeting we're seeing, Calv. It's been the most sensational playoff finals in the history of Speedway. Richie Worrell off the inside in blue here for Bellevue. Scott Nichols, gate 2 in yellow for Peterborough. Dan Bewley, gate 3, red for Bellevue. Unbeaten so far. And Chris Harris, he's off the outside in the white helmet colour. Peterborough need to hang on here.
They do. They need to climb, as I said earlier, a damage limitation possibly is going to be the order of the evening. If these two lads in Nichols and Harris can get the front, not going to be easy to resist the charge of Dan Bewley. He is so quick, and even when he misses the starts in the Premiership, he normally has the speed to find his way to the front. Worrell, who rode so well previously, winning that race in fine style, he'll be pumped right up now. But this is a crucial race. No doubt about it now. Nichols and Harris, they've got to produce something pretty special now.
Here we go. The 10. Who's going to get there? Well, it's looking good here for Richie Worrell. Now what can Bewley do as the Peterborough boys pile the pressure on up the inside? Scott Nichols and Dan Bewley is the man trailing in the back right now. That's a bit of a surprise. Nichols tries the inside rubbish, come through. Now what can Harris do as Bewley comes through into second spot? Don't rule Bewley out here. He will try and hunt down Scott Nichols. And now the challenge is on for the hero of Peterborough, Chris Harris in white. More Green Speedway here, Gal.
Indeed there is. Dan Bewley desperately trying to get himself to the front. He had a poor start there. Nichols is away, but Bewley is now in clear air, and he's going to try and hunt down Scott Nichols out in front. Nichols riding for his life here out in front. He's got a lap to go. He's got a little bit of breathing space. Harris is working overtime back in fourth, but Nichols down the back straight. Can Bewley produce something special on this last corner?
The Bellevue fans are on the feet at the home stand. Bewley tries to switch on the inside. Oh, he's not quite done enough. That's a brilliant ride from Scott Nichols to hold off Dan Bewley.
Very good.
Bewley didn't make the best of starts, but we're still so close, and you do wonder sometimes with races like that, what would happen with one more lap? One more lap, what would have happened there?
I'll tell you what, Scott Nichols is glad it's only over 4 laps, mate. He's got 4 on his back, and he's delighted that he didn't have to do another lap because Dan Bewley was coming on strong. But that's a terrific ride from Scott Nichols.
Dan Bewley coming in for Brady Kurtz here. That's a timely swap for Brady Kurtz for the rider replacement facility, because here you have the Michael Palmtoft at number 1 for Peterborough off the inside gate. Palmtoft off the inside in white then. Then it's Dan Bewley off gate 2. Jordan Palin comes in for Louis Kerr in the yellow helmet colour. Louis has just not been on the pace tonight. And then Tom Brennan off the outside gate for the Bellevue Aces in the blue helmet colour. Peterborough really need Palmtoft to get going here, Kel.
Indeed they do, but I suggest that, you know, we're using that word damage limitation here this evening. Dan Bewley is the red-hot favourite for this race, has to be. So quick around this place, wouldn't be a surprise to see him win the race. I think for the Peterborough Panthers, if they can't win it, they need to finish second and third and try and keep Brennan at the back. Won't be easy, but Palin, I've got to say, has been a star for Panthers tonight. As Chris Louis was rightly pointing out, the reserves have done a sterling work for the Panthers, and Palin has been certainly instrumental in that, really playing his part this evening. Michael Palmtoft, if he can get his nose in front, he'll be quick.
Yes, here we go then for heat number 11, 34-26. The home side leader here in Manchester. Mike's on, away they go from the start. Palmtoft made a decent gate that time. He's in wide, but watch out for Bewley on the inside run. And now Palmtoft goes wide, blocks the challenge of Tom Brennan. Palmtoft holds that lead just about here. So now Bewley will try the inside run for Bellevue. Sure, he's got the speed, but Palmtoft really digging deep here. Michael Palmtoft for Peterborough. Oh. Bewley goes close, almost runs handlebars. Oh. My goodness, how close was that?
It doesn't get any closer, Nigel, otherwise he'd be riding the bike of Michael Palmtoft. Palmtoft out in front. Bewley working overtime, now switches to the outside. Will he generate the extra speed? Yes, he will. Here he comes.
Whoa.
Dan Bewley. Wonderful ride out in the dirt. Palmtoft making him work overtime. Surprised to see Brennan at the back. Brennan riding strongly in third place. The Aces want to stretch their lead to 10 now.
Yes, and they are starting to get away from Peterborough now, the Bellevue Aces. Dan Bewley looks over his shoulder. That was a brave effort from Palmtoft, who had it towards the end of the race.
Yeah, brilliant effort from Palmtoft. He came back at Bewley there, coming out of the last corner. Bewley had to work very hard indeed. He punches the air, but I suggest there's a touch of relief in that as well as celebration, because Palmtoft made him work very hard indeed. Bewley riding beautifully. Palmtoft riding so hard for the Panthers, but it isn't going their way. 38-28. Crowd on their feet. Bewley doing the business. Got to feel for the Panthers a bit, Nigel. Got to feel for them because they're really riding ever so hard. Palin missing out that time.
Yeah, his first 0 of the night for Jordan. Dan Bewley the winner, Michael Palmtoft second. Tom Brennan was third. Jordan Palin at the back. What a ride from Bewley. Brilliant stuff. Big race, seat number 12. Can Peterborough hang on in there? Bjarne Pedersen going off the inside in yellow. Stevie Worrell going off gate 2 in red. Scott Nichols, 2 wins to his name tonight. Ridden well, he's off gate 3 in white. Jai Etheridge, Bellevue Reserve, going off the outside in blue. If Peterborough can just nick a heat advantage here, could make a big difference.
Oh yeah. They're going to just have to fight for crumbs now, Nigel. They've got to hang on by their fingertips if they can. Nichols was superb beating Bewley last time. Not a track that he always enjoys, but I tell you what, he has found something extra tonight. 2 race wins and a third, 7 out of 9. That's a great effort from him. Bjarne Pedersen on the inside. You've got to believe that this is an opportunity for the Panthers to try and bounce back here with a heat advantage, if at all possible. Fabulous speedway we're enjoying. The Aces in charge, and the Panthers bounce back.
Here we go, heat number 12. And it's a good start for the Panthers. The man in yellow, Bjarne Pedersen, has made a beauty. And now Nichols has gone high into the dirt. Scott Nichols down the back straight. Now he's going to close the door.
Clever.
And try and see out a 5-1 here. Steve Worrell is the unbeaten Bellevue rider in red. And Worrell comes up the inside. And now Bjarne Pedersen up the gas to get off the gas. Try the inside run. Here's Steve Worrell now, charging hard under Scott Nichols. Oh my goodness, this is sensational. I'm going to lose my voice.
Scott Nichols riding out of his skin. Don't think he's ridden any better. Bjarne Pedersen now back into second place. Steve Worrell hasn't been beaten tonight. Worrell now coming back. Bjarne Pedersen clamping down.
Don't touch him! Don't touch him!
Into the last lap, Nigel. Taking away. Unbelievable speedway from the Panthers.
Well, I thought he was going to touch him and bring him down there.
Well, he did touch him.
Wow! It's going to be a huge result for Peterborough. They're back in this contest. Dance Army are on the march. Scott Nichols and Bjarne Pedersen have got a 5-1 in heat number 12. And this National Speedway Stadium has suddenly got a little bit more quiet.
Well, Scott Nichols has never ridden this place better, Nigel. He has come up with stunning performances tonight. He's rolled the clock back. 3 consecutive heat wins for Scott Nichols. What a performance from him. And Bjarne Pedersen to get the better of Worrell as well. That was speedway out of the top draw, ladies and gentlemen. Sensational stuff.
Nichols, Pedersen, Worrell beaten for the first time tonight. It's a 5-1 to Peterborough. Dan Bewley off the inside in red, magnificent as ever tonight. Michael Palmtoft goes off gate 2 in white. Then it's Charles Wright in for Brady Kurtz in blue. of gate number 3, and Chris Harris, the spectacular Chris Harris, off the outside. Well, they've only won 4 heats, Peterborough, and Scott Nichols has won 3 of them.
Yeah.
How they could do with Chris Harris adding his name to that tonight.
He was my rider to watch for them, and if he can come good now, that will be very useful indeed. If he can replicate something similar to what Nichols is doing. Pumped Off was very impressive last time with a great battle between himself and Dan Bewley. And we're going to see episode 2 of that right now, because the two of them line up in gates 1 and gates 2 in this very race. 6 points in it. The Panthers are really having to dig very deep indeed. It's been a great effort. The Aces are in charge. You've got to give that to them. They have done the business so far. But all credit to the Panthers. And can Pumped Off surprise Bewley once again?
Well, anything can happen in this grand final tie. It's great speedway. It's everything this sport is good about. Everything that's good about this sport, I should say.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, the first bit didn't make sense. Here we go.
Yep. Here we go with heat 13. Big race, and Pumped Off has got the trap on Bewley again. Now, what can Pumped Off do this time to see out the challenge of Dan Bewley? Chris Harris down the back straight. Oh! Chris Harris in yellow. Oh! Chris Harris is coming for it again. And Peterborough are on the verge of a 5-1 here. Oh my goodness me! Who could have seen this coming?
Wow, what a first lap of Speedway. Pumped Off down at gate 2. Look at Charles Wright. Now roaring round the outside. Harris did it initially. He's hit the front. Charles Wright hit the front. Oh my goodness, how did he stay on his motorbike? He was very nearly over the handlebars. Pumped Off is away. Bewley's into 3rd. Here we go again.
Well, Chris Harris is being attacked left, right and centre. Harris has just got on one wheel momentarily there. 1 lap to go in a huge heat 13. Dan Bewley's in the drive. Dan Bewley's in the speed. One last throw of the dice for Bewley to try and split the Panthers. The win is going to be Pumped Off. Down to the line they go. Chris Harris has held on. And Peterborough have pulled off a second successive 5-1 race win. And they are now only 2 points behind Bellevue. Kelvin, I told you Peterborough would run out of steam.
Yeah, I always believe
I'll
you
get
know.
me coach.
Yeah, on you go. Taxi's waiting.
Start the car.
Taxi, yeah, start the car. Wow. Can you believe what you're watching? Can you believe it? It is truly extraordinary speedway. And it is a wonderful effort from the Peterborough Panthers. Everybody out on the track. Michael Pumped Off, well, has he ever come good? He can hardly hold the handlebars. And he was out in front and he's won that race. Chris Harris, once again, you'd have him in your team all day long, and he lowers the colour of Dan Bewley. Wow. What a massive result that was for the Panthers.
Here's your lineup for heat number 15. Scott Nichols, who has been a revelation tonight for Peterborough off the inside. Gate 2 in the red helmet is Stevie Worrell for the Bellevue Aces. Chris Harris for Peterborough going off gate 3 in yellow. Dan Bewley off the outside in blue for Bellevue. It is going to be some night at Peterborough's East of England Arena and Event Centre on Thursday, that's for sure.
It will indeed. We have had information that Harris has actually swapped back to his original bike, and he quite clearly feels that's the faster of the two, and he'll be hoping that it's very quick here in heat 15, because Bewley and Worrell have ridden very well for the Aces this evening. They're probably a bit shocked that they're only 2 points up, and it really is going to be quite a sensational heat 15 here. Nichols has ridden so well.
Hans Anderson.
Sorry, mate.
We saw a picture of Hans Anderson. They lost him early on, so it is remarkable that they have held on like this. Rob Lyon, the Panthers manager, away we go. Great start from the Bellevue boys, and here now comes Dan Bewley in the blue helmet colour. Nichols is in white. The man in red is Steve Worrell, and now coming around the outside, Chris Harris, and he's on a run in the dirt, trying to come and join Scott Nichols, because Stevie Worrell's not done yet. Harris is going to try the outside run now. A 3-all. I think Peterborough would be relatively pleased about that. Forget about Dan Bewley. Dan Bewley's gone. It's all about what Steve Worrell can do now for Bellevue, Kel.
Indeed it is. I would go further to say that a 3-all, Rob Lyon will be delighted with that, to be only 2 points down. going into Thursday's second leg. Worrell out the back, got a shove off of Nichols going into the first corner. No room to manoeuvre there. Bewley's going to win the race. It's all about whether Worrell, with a lap, with just over a lap to go, can he get amongst the points?
Yep, into the final lap of heat number 15 here. It's all about whether Steve Worrell can pass at least one of the Peterborough riders, but they're wise old boys.
Oh, what a clever ride again!
To the line, and they hold on for a 3-all, and that was a sensational piece of team riding late on from the Peterborough boys.
Wow, what a last corner from Scott Nichols, Nige. He absolutely rode a beautiful line there. Look, he's giving Worrell no option at all. He can't get round, and Harris and Nichols hang on for a vital 3-all result in heat 15, and they've only been beaten by 2 points.
Didn't see that coming.
I did say earlier that Bellevue would just squeak it tonight. All right. After heat 11, I thought, oh dear. Oh dear.
Prediction out of the window.
But unexpectedly, Peterborough came back in. What a night of Speedway, 44 points to 44. 46 points to 44, rather. They get it right, Kelvin. Dan Bewley, fantastic in heat 15.
There's the result. Dan Bewley, Chris Harris, Scott Nichols, 3 apiece. Final score in the first leg of the grand final. And how well does this set up the second leg on Thursday night? 46-44. Bellevue just about win the first leg, but 4 races ago, Bellevue were 10 points up.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Bit of argy-bargy. What's this going to the first corner? This is what playoff Speedway's all about. There's no way that Nichols was going to be out-battled by Worrell going to the first corner that time. Then Harris comes around the outside. Bewley's away. They didn't worry about Bewley. They just wanted to keep it to a 3-all, and that was clever. And this last corner really is top draw stuff. Fabulous bit of team riding. Nichols just hanging on to third and denying Worrell getting a heat advantage for the Bellevue Aces. Dan Bewley has been outstanding this evening. It's been an outstanding Speedway match. It really has been. Speedway has been the winner. And we're only at half-time, Nige. Fantastic Speedway here in Manchester tonight.
Zielone miasto w chmurach.